Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Emily. We're three life coaches who found connection in faith, friendship, and purpose.
Get ready for real talk, relatable stories, and practical tips you can actually use.
We're so happy you're here at the Life Coach Lounge. Hello, welcome back to the Life Coach Lounge. You are listening to myself, Lisa, and Angela, and Emily.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
So, if you haven't listened to any of our other episodes, you will just let you in on a little secret that Emily and Angela and I do not live close to each other. And so we spend a lot of time in the Marco Polos. So we use that app on a daily basis. And I think it's safe for me to say we look forward to waking up and seeing if there's any messages from maybe the night before, or I know if I'm leaving work that day, I like looking and seeing, because I have all my notifications off during the day, to see if there's any Marcos for me to listen to on my way home. So that is one way that the three of us keep track of each other and all the new and good things that are happening in our daily lives. So what has been happening since our last episode? Angela, what's been going on for you?
Oh, what has been going on for me? Well, our daughter came to visit last weekend and stayed over with us, and we got to spend a few days, a couple nights with her, and it was so great. It is so amazing to watch your kids mature, and also not always easy. So there's a lot of opportunities to cheerlead and a lot of opportunities to zip it. But it was a great weekend. I made her some of her favorite food, and it was nice.
I feel like in this phase of parenting where all of our children are 18 and older, right? I think I have the youngest. My youngest is 18. And so we do a lot more listening, and I do a lot more just telling myself, be quiet. You have thoughts, you have opinions, you have advice, but this isn't the time. And so I'm learning that. I'm learning that new skill of being there for my adult children who are still trying to figure out how to adult. Oh, for me, I forgot to update you guys on my sourdough baking journey. So I started making sourdough bread, probably 2 months ago. First time. I have a great friend who is amazing in the kitchen and has been making sourdough bread for a very long time. So she gave me the basics, and I've made a handful of loaves, and I just wasn't getting it. I was following the instructions. And I don't know if you ladies feel this way, but I have cooked enough. I've spent enough time in the kitchen. I've baked enough where you can just tell if maybe the batter's too runny, so you need to add some more flour. Or if it's too thick, you need to add some milk or water. And I just was not getting it with the sourdough. And so this week I was texting my friend pictures along the journey. I'm like, well, this is what it looks like after it's sat overnight. What do I do? She's like, wait until it's jiggly. Okay, jiggly, got it. So, like, I finally got what it's supposed to look like. And it turns out the instructions said let it rest for 8 to 12 hours. Well, in my house, temperature, humidity, environment, it took probably 21 hours for it to get to the point where I was ready to bake it. And let me tell you, it was the best loaf of sourdough bread I have made. And so that felt like a win for me. I'm getting it. And I watched a few YouTube videos as well, right? Like looking at all the sources. What am I not getting? So that has been a fun adventure for me.
This is one of those times where I'm so grateful for the Marcos. And also, I wish we lived closer because your description of making your sourdough bread, I just want to invite Angela and I over to your house for some
Well, girl, you
freshly
know it.
baked. Yes.
If we lived in the same area, you'd be coming over for all the baked goods and the coffee dates and
If we
but the
lived in the
Marcos
same
and
area,
Zoom.
you would be teaching me how to do what you're doing because I'm a sourdough bread consumer, but I have no idea how to. I haven't stepped into that realm yet to try to do it on my own. And I eat primarily gluten free, and I have found that sourdough doesn't bother me nearly as much as other gluten based items. So, yeah.
Same. I am the same. And when I was making the bread and it was just coming out really dense and just not airy and didn't really taste like sourdough. It had a little bit of a sourdough flavor to it. That bread actually didn't settle as well with me. And this loaf that tastes really sour and it has just the right consistency and everything, it's not a problem for me. So it turns out that fermentation does make a difference.
Well, to go along with you teaching yourself some a new skill, I am teaching myself how to create my own deodorant. That that is what I have been working on the past week is ordering all the things for both making it with um, a, a little bit of a baking soda base and then also without, because I know sometimes that baking soda can irritate the skin. And here's a little bit of a vulnerable moment, but I have incredibly sensitive armpits. So it's like a desire of mine to find and or be able to make something that doesn't cause such an irritation, because I feel like I have tried all the all the natural brands out there, and even the ones that have some ingredients in it that I would prefer it not have, and I have not landed on the right one. So that has been what I've been working on this last week, right down to the buying the little tiny containers that you crank up and you crank down. And yeah, so yesterday came some shea butter, and my husband was like, well, this is a giant container of shea butter. I'm like, yes, I know, but I have plans. Just you wait and see.
You're like our mad scientist, Lisa. I love it. You're always making something, your own lip gloss, your own deodorant, your own beauty serums. I love to hear what you're working on. And I imagine your home just smells amazing because I'm sure you're adding all of the Young Living essential oils to it
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
So this week, I thought we would have a little kind of a Q&A between the three of us and talk about a topic of decoding the mystery of using air quotes here, coach speak. So what I mean by that is sometimes I know personally when I am around my family or friends and I say something like, well, I think that person just needs to hold space for you. I can tell by the look on the other person's face that they're just nodding their heads and smiling like they're totally with me, when in reality they're like, what does that even mean? Hold space for what? So I thought today we would just talk about what some of the coach speech language is, what it means, and maybe even just a real life transition or example of the language. And then that way, maybe some of our listeners who might either already hired a life coach or might be considering hiring a life coach or following the three of us and on social media. And then, we're going to use coach speak language in the Life Coach Lounge. So I thought it would be fun just to kind of unpack that a little bit. There's one right there, right? Unpack. Let's unpack that, shall we?
Exactly.
So I thought we would start maybe with decoding some phrases like holding space. So, Emily, if I said hold space in a sentence, could you break that down for our listeners what that really means?
Yes, I love this one. I love that what we've learned about it and the whole idea of holding space is just really being fully present for that person that is telling you about what's going on in their life without distraction, without an agenda, without judgment. It's just a safe, neutral space that we give to somebody that we're coaching. And really, this transfers over into real life too, right? Like if my husband comes to me and wants to talk to me about something with his day, I'm often multitasking. I'm often doing something else. But if I just stop folding the laundry or doing whatever I'm doing, actually look at him and actually just really listen, it just makes such a difference. So, yeah, in the coaching realm, that's what we do as coaches. We tell the client, anything you want to talk about is safe here. I won't be judging you. I won't be trying to fix you. I won't come up with all this advice about what you should do. It's just a safe place to get all of your thoughts out. And not many people have that in their lives. It's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary to be saying the things out loud that you are thinking. And so a coach provides that. And that's what I think of when I think of holding space for someone.
Yeah, I think that summarizes it perfectly. Just hitting that pause button and being fully present and allowing that person to say or do what is needed in that moment. All
And
right,
that's
let's
kind of
pick.
that life skill we were
Yeah,
talking about with our adult children too, right?
right. All right, so we knocked holding space out of the park. So I think that Emily did a fabulous job letting us know what that really means, just to be fully present and allow the person that you're with to share what they're wanting to share. So let's pick another one. Angela, I'm going to give you a choice. So I have written down two other phrases that we often hear. One is limiting beliefs, and the other one is your inner critic or false self versus your true or higher self. Which one would you like to?
I'm going to talk about limiting beliefs.
Okay.
I really think that a thought that you think over and over becomes a belief. Now, this could work for you or against you, right? So a limiting belief would be one that works against you. It becomes a thought pattern. It becomes a neural pathway. It becomes your default. And it could be, I'm so stupid. I'm fat. Nobody likes me. It can be just something that's almost running in the background of your thoughts, subconscious almost thoughts all the time. And it will affect the way you think, what you do, the way you feel about yourself, the way you feel about others. It will affect the actions you take, and it will affect the results that you create in your life. And so uncovering those limiting beliefs is so important to having forward motion and honestly to feeling better about yourself and others. So I think it is crucial. And I think a good way to uncover those is through journaling. Because a lot of times what comes out of the pen onto the paper are those subconscious thoughts. It just starts to roll out, and then you look down and you go, whoa, where did that come from? So journaling is a great tool to use to uncover those limiting beliefs and then start to reframe, or there's another coach word, Lisa, reframe. Start to develop a positive belief or a godly belief to replace the old one.
I think you described that perfectly. Yes. And I think it actually goes hand in hand with the other phrase that I kind of gave you an option for, which was that inner critic versus your higher self. So I know that Angela, Emily, and I usually use your false self and your true self. So when you are describing those limiting beliefs, when you stay in that cycle or that pattern of those default beliefs that just have become a part of your subconscious thoughts. And I think it's important to remind everybody. I know I was always surprised to learn just how many thoughts a person has in any given day. And I always get the number wrong, but I always think that the number is going up a little bit. So let's just say on average, it's somewhere between, I think, 70,000 thoughts that we all have every day. And that was a huge aha moment to me, because we are not conscious of all 70,000 thoughts that we are having on a daily basis. So of course, 90% of them are going to be subconscious thoughts. So if we have those limiting beliefs, and I love the fact that you said or gave like a tool to use with journaling, just to like write it all down. And it doesn't have to be pretty, right? Just whatever's coming up for you in your head, just start writing it down. And then you might surprise yourself, like, what really?
Absolutely.
What is happening in my brain right now? So if we're allowing that inner critic or our false self to drive the bus, so to speak, and maybe it's a belief that's kind of driven by fear or guilt or something like that, it might be even more of a aha moment if we did see it written out in a journal or something like that. So I love that you gave that as an option. It's not easy to hone in when somebody says, well, tell me what you're thinking. When you're asked that in the moment, I don't know about you guys, but when my coach asks me, well, what do you think about that? Like my brain freezes. I'm not really sure what I think about that. Hold on a second. Let's talk a little bit about the phrases for things that have to do with like an action or accountability kind of coach speaking language. So if I were to say to a client, I would really like for you to think about what's your why. I would like you to come back to your why. Even me saying that out loud and asking that question, no wonder people are like, what? First of all, was I lost? Do I need to come back? I don't even know what you're talking about. So, Angela, what does that mean for you to come back to your why?
I love when my coach asks me this, because my brain is firing everywhere especially like, for example, building my coaching business. Should I do this? Should I do this? What should I do? What should I do? Should I try these new things? And my brain is just popcorning everywhere. And then you add in comparison and social media and the insecurities that you have while you're building your business, and just being asked that question takes all it, like all of that noise just melts away. And I go, I want to help women. And then it's like, as soon as you come back to that, your brain just opens up. It just quiets all the noise, and your brain just opens up to, okay, this is why I'm doing this. I just need to find my next person. And that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. Coming back to my why, or remembering my why, or however you want to say it. Yeah. I love that question. I need to be reminded of it frequently,
Totally.
apparently, because my coach asks me quite a bit.
I love asking myself that question when I find myself, and you mentioned this, like, especially with social media and finding yourself in a place where you're comparing. So when any of us fall into the compare and despair mindset, if I am asked or remember to ask myself to come back to my why, it takes that internal judgment away, because my why is really part of my values. So the judgment piece can step aside. But you're so right. You get caught up in everything that we're consuming out there on the interwebs, and sometimes it just paralyzes us.
Or even the tasks that it's taking to get to, say, a specific goal, or that you're doing something. Like if you look at somebody that is wanting to lose weight, well, they're doing all the things, the food prep, the exercise, the counting their calories, the counting the macros. Like you can get so caught up with the action of doing the thing that it becomes difficult and you're not seeing results. So to remind them, like, what's your why, gets them back to, I guess I don't need to count my macros. I just want to feel fit and healthy. That purpose, that motivation is going to be more motivating when they have that food choice in front of them than reading the macros and trying to figure out all of the computations of making sure it's something they can eat or whatever. So it's just like that, getting back to that reason you wanted to do the thing in the first place.
I think that it's important too, because life happens, different things pop up in our lives, or circumstances present themselves that make us have to pivot, shift directions. And so maybe you have a goal and something that unforeseen happens. And so instead of feeling like a failure or you didn't achieve that goal, going back to your why allows you to start again. Because sometimes people have a hard time with, well, I'm not going to start again. I tried. I didn't do it. I'm not going to do it again. But when you come back to your why, you're able to see that I can start again, and I'm excited to start again. The gift is your why. So I love both of your little bit of your story and examples on how and what it means to come back to your why. Let's pick one more. I'm going to go with one of my favorites, probably also because I didn't realize this was like a thing until people started saying, well, maybe you're buffering. I'm what? I'm buffering. What does that mean? So buffering, here's a aha moment that I had for myself when it comes to a buffering. Buffering is really a way to get short-term pleasure in a long-term feeling of negativity. And so I always felt like if I had to work on something or do something that I really didn't want to do, so to go into quote unquote that negative place where I didn't want to be, I would buffer. My best form of buffering would be to clean and organize. I could clean and organize for hours. And here's the thing, I would do it and then say, but look at what I got done. Like, look at me. Look at these closets. Look at these drawers. The space is so beautiful. Look at all the stuff I purged to take to, the Salvation Army. Look at me. Yay me. Yay me. And turns out I didn't address the elephant in the room. So I was a huge aha moment for me in coaching when we had like a whole class on buffering. I'm like, but no, I was not buffering. I was doing all that stuff. I was doing good things. And it's not that I wasn't. That was my way of not dealing with either emotions or mostly emotions or situations that I was like, eh. So I learned, okay, I won't compartmentalize it. I'll just go clean and organize over here. So what do you guys think when I say buffering? Because it was a huge, huge aha for me.
I think you made a really good point, Lisa, in that buffering can be anything we do to avoid the task, the emotions, the hard conversation, anything that's going to take a little bit of work, a little bit of discomfort, maybe. It's something we do instead of actually facing that work and that discomfort. But it's not always a negative action. So it can be overspending, overeating, over drinking, spending time on something that's not healthy for you. But like you, my buffer is cleaning and organizing. And what I've realized is I'm avoiding the discomfort of the thing because it feels chaotic. It feels not organized in my brain. It feels messy in my brain. So I think, well, if I just clean and organize my environment, I'll feel better, which I do, but I'm still not getting the thing done. I still have avoided the thing in my head. And so buffering isn't always a negative action or habit. It can be a positive thing, but it's having that negative result, like you said.
Exactly. It can be, like you said, I want to feel good right now, and this cookie is giving me the dopamine hit that I want right now. But the short-term dopamine hit is you are sacrificing, I'm not dealing with what I really need to be dealing with right now. And B, I'm like eating a cookie. Maybe in 6 months, I'll have put on 20 pounds. And then I'm like, how did I get here? And then you still have all these emotions that you have to deal with. So it definitely has a net negative result over time. And I love that you used examples of things where people will go, what's the problem? Like cleaning your house is such a good thing. Or like even being a workaholic or exercise can be a buffer. And you're like, well, what's wrong with that? Well, if you're not processing your emotion while you're exercising and you're avoiding, for example, we talked about like building my business. There's a lot of times I get stuck on something, usually tech, and it just feels terrible. I'm like, I can't do this. What do? I pick up my phone. I start scrolling Instagram for that feel good, in air quotes, feel good moment of scrolling and getting the dopamine hit from that. But I still have to address the issue on my computer. I still have to figure it out. So just pressing into that negative emotion instead of turning away, whether it's to, like you said, something that's not good for you or something that appears to be perfectly fine. Anytime you sense yourself avoiding the task at hand or the emotion at hand, as it would be, stop and ask yourself what's really going on there.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here for any of our younger listeners. This might this might sting a little bit. So Mama Lisa's coming for you. I find this to be very true with my children's generation when it does come to having all the devices. I think that it is something that if I'm in midlife and I didn't recognize the buffering that I was doing, whether it was in a positive or negative form, I firmly believe that our children's generation, because they have the technology that we did not grow up with, the buffering or the not facing the truth of what is in front of you is just so much easier because, like Angela was saying, you get that dopamine hit with, that cookie. Well, that's what our technology does, right? It gives us instant gratification, whether you're quickly looking something up or, like you said, you're scrolling some platform for hours. And I think that it is very interesting to me when I have conversations with my generation or generations after me. And I say, do you ever pay attention to the screen time when it comes up on your phone and gives you that little alert? Do you ever actually think, what? There's no way. Well, if it says that you've been on your phone for 9 hours a day, I'm going to say there's a lot of buffering happening there. No one's on their phone for 9 hours a day, engaged fully in a task for 9 hours a day. If you are, drop a note in the comments.
Drop a comment.
That's right. I'll come back and talk to you on that one. All right. So that is what it means when you hear someone say, I think you might be buffering. All right. Let's move into some transformational growth like coach speak. So here is a couple phrases, and I'll let you guys choose which one you would like to take. One is doing the work. If a coach says, this is where the real work happens, you just got to do the work. Another one, which is a favorite of mine, is if a coach says to you, well, I invite you to lean into that discomfort. Just lean in. Typically, I'm like, no, discomfort means go the other way. And then the next one is season of life. If I were to say to a client, I want you to honor the season of life that you're in. Emily, which one of those resonates with you? Which one would you like to kind of give us a real life translation of?
I'm going with the leaning into discomfort.
Okay.
Mainly because I have had to learn this. I have had to challenge myself. My own coach has challenged me to lean into discomfort of circumstances. When we are dealing with something that's really challenging, for me, I just like to say, okay, when can it be done? When can we just not have this hardship anymore? And when you are dealing with something in your life that you don't see an end date to it, it's something that you don't see a quick resolution to. Instead of resisting it, which brings up all kinds of negative emotions and frustrations and all of the negative things, you just, I've had to get to a point of acceptance, like awareness of the situation, acceptance that for reasons I may not know yet, God has decided that this is our circumstance. And so, what can I learn in it? How can I fully accept that this is where we're at, feel all the feelings that come up with that? We were talking about that on one of our previous episodes, emotions, right? The main reason we don't want to lean into the discomfort is because it brings up all the yucky emotions that we want to avoid feeling. But it turns out that's what you need to do to grow. And that's what you need to do to become more resilient. And it's strength training, really, for life, right? When you're working out and wanting to build muscles, you have to keep lifting the weights and you're going to have sore muscles and it's going to be tiring and you're going to not want to go back and work those same muscles again because they hurt. Well, you can transfer that to life situations too. Going through the hard emotions is hard and it leaves you feeling sore and bruised and battered. But I have found that there's strength and resiliency on the other side of that. So I think I That's how I understand leaning into the discomfort. The opposite would be to resist it. And the discomfort is still going to be there. So there's discomfort with resisting as well. So that's another coach phrase: choose your discomfort. There's discomfort either way. Do you want the discomfort that leaves you more uncomfortable, or do you want the discomfort that's going to lead to growth and change?
It's such a small shift too in thinking life shouldn't be this hard and then just shifting into this is hard. This is hard right now. It's that, like you said, the acceptance. If you're pushing against it, it shouldn't be this way. I don't want it to be this way. When will this be over? And just moving into like even saying it out loud. This is hard. What is going on right now is hard. Just saying that brings a release, like just calms you down from that resistance of it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be this hard. So yeah, I
So
love
good.
it. And it's such a small shift, but so powerful.
And it's
And
not
the
as scary as you
importance,
think either, right? It's not as scary as you actually think when you allow yourself to just make that slight shift. It feels like you're jumping off a ledge and you're like, oh, that's just one step down. Okay, we can do that, right? It feels a whole lot scarier until you actually do it. And then it's so worth it.
I think it's important to remember too when you say the phrase acceptance, which is kind of in therapeutic and coaching sessions. Accepting means that you are accepting what is, not that you are like, gee, this is the best thing ever. I love it. It's not condoning it per se. It is just accepting it for what it is right now. And I know, like, from personal experience in accepting even a diagnosis, that took time too. Like, it wasn't like I just woke up one day and decided, okay, today I'll decide that I will accept that this is what life is going to be like for me. That didn't happen overnight. So sometimes leaning into the discomfort takes time. It's
Yes, it's a
not.
process.
Yeah, it's not just a one and done. Like, I leaned in on Tuesday and I woke up on Wednesday and I don't feel any better. So I don't know what you're talking about. I leaned in, it didn't work. It's a process. And I think it's also important to know that on the other side of leaning in, from a kind of a faith way of thinking about it, for me, part of my journey here in life is that diagnosis. And what I get to do with my journey through that and the continued path that I'm on with that, I get to serve others from my discomfort. And so I think that that just kind of goes along with what Angela was saying about that little bit of just a little bit of a shift. So I think that's great. I feel like that could have been a whole podcast episode. I know you both well enough to know that there's a lot more you can say about that. So stay tuned. That might become a whole episode in and of itself. All right, Angela, which one would you like to decode for us? Do you want to decode doing the work, season of life, or do you have one of your own? I know that you were telling us earlier that you asked your husband what kind of coach speak might you use around the house. So if you have one of your own, let's have it.
Yeah. So the one he said is apparently I say to him, you're shoulding all over yourself.
That's a favorite of mine.
So let me explain, and hopefully, Otto, if we have transcribe on here, it's picking up the word should. We all do it, right? I should be doing this. When we were talking on one of our episodes about morning routines, it is something that I do. I should get up earlier. Like, I think I should be more of a morning person. I should get up earlier. I should get more done earlier in the day. Well, what is the benefit of shoulding all over yourself? There's no benefit. You can make a mindset shift that doesn't shame who you are and what you're currently doing. So, I shouldn't have eaten that cookie. I should exercise more. How is that getting you to the place where you want to be instead of, I want to eat healthy. I choose to move my body more instead of it comes down to shaming yourself, your self-talk, how you talk to yourself, putting yourself down for what you think you should and shouldn't be doing. So don't should all over yourself, okay?
Noted.
We all need t-shirts. Okay, as we wrap up this episode, it's not one of the ones we've already shared today. I'm just curious what each of you, like, what is your favorite coach phrase or one that you hear yourself saying either to each other here in our Marco Polos or to your family or to your clients? What's one of your favorites?
Oh, I think I need a sec.
I'll go first. One
Yes,
of
go
the things,
first.
I'm not even sure if it's necessarily coach speak per se, but one of the things I find myself saying a lot just in conversation with everyone is, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, pull up a chair, come sit at the table, come hang out in the life coach lounge. Like, I'm here for it. And
That's so good.
so what I mean when I say that is similar to holding space, but also meaning I'm here for it because I'm either going to go first and do the hard work before the other person, before my client, before my children. And also, I'm going to be empathetic, compassionate, and show up in a space to allow everyone else to do the same. Like, I'm here for all of it. So sometimes I know it's hard when you're speaking either with a family member or a good friend, a client, for that transparency and vulnerability to kind of unfold naturally. So I think it's important to let that person know, I'm here for it. Like, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. What you got? How can I
I
serve
love
you?
it. That's so good.
So that would be mine.
I love that. I have a couple actually. I feel myself saying a lot, what if it's not a problem? What if that's not a problem? Or so what? Like just getting us to stop in our tracks. Like that doesn't have to be how you're thinking about this. Or I did ask my daughter before we started recording, what are some things that I say that are coach speak? And she said the two I say the most are, let's reframe that. And I think we spoke about that earlier on today's episode. And along with that is that thought serving you? So
Yes.
just in my interactions with her, there's been a lot of this goes back to some of that self-talk or those limiting beliefs. Often those limiting beliefs can kind of be categorized in one like overarching theme. And so a lot of what we're working through with her is the whole idea of I can't. Okay, but what if you can, right? Let's like reframe that. You may not have been able to do that in the past, but what are you capable of now? Or what's possible, right? It's just those slight shifts in the thought that comes out automatically. And one additional one, and then I'll let Angela tell hers, is if somebody says, I don't know, my thought is, well, what if you did know? Just putting it back on the person and even on myself too. I don't know. Okay, what if I did know? It just helps you to pause and again, take those thoughts captive, those 70,000 thoughts or whatever go through your brain in a day, to just capture the ones that are keeping us stuck or keeping us living small, being curious. How
Yeah,
about you,
those are
Angela?
so good. And I love that for both of you, Angela, your spouse, and Emily, your daughter, like they were able to just, okay, like you asked a question, what do you hear mom or your wife say around the house? And they were able to just like give you a few quick responses, but they also understood what it meant. Like you didn't have to explain those to them. So
Well, I have though. And actually I coach them against their will all the time. Anybody else? Anybody else coach their family
No, I'm
against
not
their
saying
will?
that. I'm saying
Oh,
you didn't
Yeah.
have to understand they understood the phrase. Like when you say to your daughter,
right.
what if you did know? She knows, she understands the assignment. She knows what you're talking about.
Yes. And I think that shows how our coaching and what we've learned just automatically spills over. So we are learning this lingo and applying it to ourselves, and then it shows up in how we're interacting with our family members. And I just think that's a gift to all of us.
How about you, Angela?
I think that, as coaches, we have kind of the worst and the best news for our client, which is, I'm sorry that your thoughts are causing you misery. Basically, you are causing your own pain. We get to kind of break that news to them gently, but then we get to give them the best news, which is those are optional thoughts, and you can choose thoughts that are so much, like you said, serving you better or empowering you or giving you an emotion that propels you forward, like motivating you, or just, you know, thoughts that fill you with love. Everyone likes to feel love. You can choose thoughts that fill you with the emotion of love, which is fabulous. And I love seeing that aha moment when someone realizes, oh my word, I have so much power here. I have so much agency over my own emotions, which, I mean, how long did we live our lives thinking our kids were causing our emotions, or our job was causing our emotions, or our husband was? And then when we come to that realization of I get to choose my thoughts and emotions, it is so, so powerful. And yeah, I love that moment. I love it. So that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, it turns out we really can be renewed, right? With the phrase be transformed, it turns out we really can be transformed by renewing our mind. And what an amazing gift that is. Well, thank you once again, friends, for coming into the Life Coach Lounge with us today and quote unquote unpacking some of those phrases that coaches, therapists like to use in their everyday lingo. I'm going to challenge our listeners on one of the things that we talked about today. And that's the one I think that should be on a t-shirt. So I'm going to go with Angela's shoulding all over yourselves. So that is the challenge this week for our listeners, to be aware of how many times in even the course of, let's just say an hour, let's not even say a day, let's just break it down to pay attention to 1 hour out of your day, and how many times did you tell yourself you should be doing something. And that is it for today's time in the Life Coach Lounge. So as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you will know when our next episode is out and available to all our listeners. And certainly you can find all of us in the links with the show notes, and we will see each other in the Marcos. And we look forward to any comments and questions that our listeners have. So be sure to reach out. All right. Thanks, ladies. It was so
See you in the
much fun to
Marcos.
see you today. Yes. See you in the
Bye.
Marcos.